Okay, we're going to start. This one's called order of operations, which I think you've had some of this before. Here's the thing, is that for the most part today, we're not using calculators to do this. Okay, you have to know the order of operations. It's true that you can put in an expression, which is all numbers. You can put it in the calculator and it'll do that for you. But most of the time in algebra, we don't have expressions of numbers. We've got variables, which we can't put in the calculator. But we have to know how to combine them. Right? So we don't want to just be trying to go to the calculator. We need to be trying to understand how do the order of operations work. How many of you remember doing order of operations somewhere? Okay, so this is going to be review. And, we're just doing half of this section. Probably won't take that long. You can always tell how many slides we've got up there. It says 18. Even that's way too many. What's that? Yeah, the first one was the homework to check. And then there's this one. You know that the last two are the objectives and the homework. So that means there's 14 slides. But some of them don't say much. So you don't have to write all this down. Again, a lot of this is review for you. So when you have to simplify expressions that have more than one operation in them, then you need to know which operation you're going to do first, which you're going to do second, which you're going to do third. And that's what we call order of operations. Connor? You don't have to write down anything if it doesn't help you. Okay. So the order of operations are, first you simplify inside grouping symbols, right? Grouping symbols can be parentheses, but they're not always parentheses, right? You got to be on the lookout for that. Second, you simplify if there's any powers or exponents. Remember, we did that in the last lesson. We learned that the whole thing is a power. The exponent is just the little number to the upper right. But whatever you want to call it, you know what to look for, right? Next, you look for multiplications and divisions from left to right, right? So starting on the left, if you see a division first, you do it, right? If you see a multiplication, you do it. Just in order from left to right, do all the multiplications and divisions. It's not really, you don't go through and do all the multiplications and then do all the divisions, right? They're considered together. And same for addition and subtraction. Right? If the first thing you see is a subtraction when you're on that step, then do the subtraction. Right? So consider addition and subtraction together from left to right. And then to help us remember this, and how many of you are familiar with this acronym? Probably everybody, PEMDAS. So that's what we use to help us remember to do these things in this order. Acronyms can be a useful way to try to memorize a lot of stuff. If you don't know, some way to keep it handy, make yourself an acronym that means something to you. Okay. Right, so here's what you need to remember. Right, P for parentheses, but we know it means all grouping symbols. E for exponents, M multiplication, D for division, A for addition, and S for subtraction. And does anybody have a mnemonic device to help them remember that? Meaning, what's the saying that goes along with that? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. If you can remember those words in order, then you'll get these letters in order. And then you'll have the order of operations. So remember those. P-E-M-D-A-S. We're good? Callie? Try. Good. Okay, so simplify. No calculators. Right? So what's the first thing we're going to look for in this problem? You start down the line, right? P, no parentheses. E, Any exponents? So we go for the exponents, okay? So the next line, I should be showing this, right? Every line should be 27 divided by what? 9 times 2 minus 3. Okay, what's next? Okay, you're going to consider multiplications and divisions from left to right. So what's the first thing you're going to do? 27 divided by 9 is 3 times 2 minus 3. Next. Well, first do the 3 times 2, 6. And then only one thing left, 3. Right? That's order of operations. Easy stuff. I think the way this book has it organized, they have the first few problems, there's no parentheses. And then they introduced the grouping symbols, and then we got the parentheses. And that's all we're doing today, is those first few. And most of them are you tries for you. So are you ready to do your own? Okay, you try. So what was the first operation you did here? Okay, and what was that? What is 4 squared? 16, right? And 20 minus 16 is 4. So we all should have gotten 4. Again, for an individual calculation, if that's stretching you out there, then go ahead and use the calculator. Okay, try that one. So this is 2 times 9 plus 4 equals 18 plus 4 equals 22. So if you got 22, you did all that right. I mean, there's a kind of a function we deal with in higher math which is called exponential function, and it looks something like this. With variables and all, it's like a times b to the x. Let's say y equals 2 times 3 to the x. And lots of students in the upper levels, they'll call that 6 to the x. But that's not 6 to the x. Right? Order of operations say, first I got to know what the x is and raise 3 to that power. Then I can multiply times the 2. But I mean, that's a basic order of operations thing that they're making mistakes on. And that's why if you made a mistake and did 2 times 3 first, it's the same problem. I mean, I've seen kids make it all the time. Okay, try another one. Ten. So 2 to the third. 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, right? So you could probably do that in your head. If you use the calculator, remember you go 2 hat 3. So 32 divided by 8 plus 6. Then you do the 32 divided by 8, and then you add 6. 10. Simple, right? And I think you have one more to do here. And 6 squared is? Okay, what's the next operation to do? You do additions and subtractions together from left to right. So the first one you came across was 15 plus 36, and that was 51. And then you subtracted 4, and you got 47. Piece of cake. So grouping symbols, we always think of parentheses, but you will see more grouping symbols than just parentheses. You could see square brackets, and you could see curly brackets too. When there's more than one set of grouping symbols, that are like inside the others, so you always do the ones inside first. If there's parentheses inside of square brackets, do the parentheses, then do the square brackets. Usually it might look something like this, where you've got parentheses inside of square brackets, and maybe square brackets inside of curly brackets. Those are actually called set brackets. But you want to do the ones on the inside first. Sometimes, honestly, we don't actually use different grouping symbols. We can actually just use it can be parentheses inside of parentheses. Just have to know, go to the inner ones first, simplify that, and then work your way to the outside. And actually, there's one other kind of grouping symbol that we've already done in here. Can you think what's another kind of grouping symbol we use? Did we do absolute value in here yet? No, we didn't. Okay, I was confusing it with another class. Okay, so grouping symbols. Simplify. What am I going to do first here? 13 minus 8, which is 5, right? And that's 35. Now, I've seen students, even at this point, right, that I think in our next lesson or somewhere down the line there, we're going to learn about distributive property. And I know you've done that before, but they'll do distributive property on something like this to get 7 times 13 and 7 times 8. When in fact you should be going to since you know all the numbers inside the parentheses, you've got to be simplifying that, right? Don't make it harder than it has to be. So when there's parentheses, they rise to the top of your list of what to do. Okay, how about this one? What's the first operation I'm going to do here? Okay, well, if I go to the parentheses, then I got to go inside the parentheses and say, what's the first operation I'm going to do? The 3 squared inside parentheses needs to be the first thing, right? So that's 24 minus 3 squared is 9 plus 1. Okay, next what am I going to do? Yeah, go inside the parentheses and do the 9 plus 1. And then 24 minus 10 is 14. Okay, any questions about that? So I think I've got a few you tries with this. Oh no, I guess I have another one for me. Okay, what should I do first? Yeah, there's parentheses inside of square brackets, so I need to go to the inner parentheses and do that first. 2 times 30 minus, what is 8 plus 13? 21. Okay, then what? Should I multiply times 2? Do the subtraction inside the grouping symbols, right, which is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, I think now we're ready for you to do one. So you try this one. Simplify. Who's got an answer? Connor. 48? How many got 48? Okay, so what operation did you do first? In the parentheses, 3 plus 9. So 4 times 12, 48. Next. Simplify. What'd you get? Did you get an answer, Felicity? Adam. 12. How many got 12? 12 is it, right? So what was the first operation that you did? You did the 2 squared. I mean, you went to the parentheses, and then you went inside the parentheses, and what was there? All right, there was an exponent. So 3 times 8 minus 4. Okay, now we do the parentheses. That's 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay, one more. Now we've got grouping symbols inside of grouping symbols. You go to the parentheses, which are inside the square brackets. We get 12 divided by 4. Okay, so why wouldn't I do 2 times 12 first? Because don't you do multiplications and divisions left to right? It's in the grouping symbol. So you got to do the 12 divided by 4 first. That's 12. What is 12 divided by 4? 3, which makes 6. That's it. So we have mastered order of operations. That's the homework. And you are done.